So today we're going to be talking about the cutoff wheel slash grinder. This is just a cutoff wheel. So we're going to talk about what it is, how does it work, when do we use it, and how much should we really spend for it. So this right here is a air-powered cutoff wheel made by Craftsman. So it works by, in this case, air power comes in, we hook our air hose up, and then the air will pass by a gear in here. It'll spin the motor, and then which causes the cutoff wheel up here to spin at a high RPM, and then we are able to cut with it. Now there's many different types. We have battery powered, we have electric plug-in powered, and air powered. In my case, I only have air-powered ones because I just haven't gotten around to buying a battery-powered one. But the air-powered works just fine for me. So we would use this whenever we need to cut bolts, cut rusted out metal, or cutting anything where we're not trying to get too delicate with our cuts. If I was cutting, say, a piece of sheet metal, and I wanted to get a real nice outline on there, we would use a jigsaw with a metal blade on there. So the cutoff wheel is just great for just cutting through stuff that you're not really too worried about making it nice and clean looking. So I've used this on the Jeep here whenever we're tearing it apart. It had sat in the rain for so long, it had tons of rust. Bolts were just, they were rounding off. There was no saving them. So we needed to get the seats out. Couldn't get all the bolts out. So we bent the metal on the seat so we could get clearance. We threw the grinder or the cutoff wheel up under there, cut the bracket. We were able to get the seats out, and then we could just focus on that small piece left to get the bolt free from the body. I've also used this when I was working on the axles, trying to get some U-bolts off of it. And if you've seen my Jeep video, you'll see me cutting it with the cutoff wheel here. And the nuts had rusted out so badly, we couldn't get them off. So I was like, I don't have time for this, just cut them off. So that's what we did. So just remember, you use this whenever you need to cut anything. Some things you want to be careful of. You want to make sure your cutoff wheel has a guard, because it's going to be throwing metal shards everywhere. Wear your safety glasses. You don't have to spend a bunch of money, just get the $1 pair. As long as they're ANSI rated, you're good. And then spend money on your cutoff wheel. Don't go buy the world's cheapest cutoff wheels. You don't want this to break and shatter and fly everywhere and put you in the hospital. This one here, it's marked, so it tells me it has a max RPM of 25,000. Some of these cutoff wheels, you can adjust the amount of power you're going to get from the trigger here, or a lever. This one doesn't. It's a variable trigger or throttle. If you press it all the way in, you're getting full power. Press it out. The way to control this is if you're using an air tank. So we would, or your air. Of course, you're using an air tank. If we had an air tank that had a dial that controlled the amount of pressure output. So let's say our tank pumps up to 150 psi, and then we only want 50 psi. If we have that secondary dial, we can dial that in. So that way the flow is only a max of 50 psi, even though the tank itself is holding 150. So that's kind of how that would work. So how much should I spend for cutoff wheel like this? Now, if I don't have one, I would recommend you to go to Amazon, get yourself a cutoff slash grinder, and then instead your handle's going to be going this way, but your wheel is going to be on the same plane as your hand. And that's going to let you use your cutoff wheel, but it's also going to let you use a grinder on there. So that would be great for just grinding down metal, welds. You could put different types of disc on there for sanding. It's a whole lot of different ability. It's more versatile. This has been handed down to me from my dad, and then I have some other ones from my grandpa, and things like that. So I just haven't gotten around to buying the cutoff slash grinder. So how much should we spend if we went on Amazon and we got the Milwaukee M18 cutoff grinder. It's about $106 just for the tool. If you want just one of these, the cutoff wheel, it's $70 on Amazon for the air-powered one, but you have to make sure you have a tank. And I'll tell you from experience, when I ran these, I was running a 55-gallon air tank. Now I have a 10-gallon air tank now, and I think that'll do fine, but I also have a 30-gallon backup if I need it. I don't use this a lot anymore, which is why it just kind of sits in the back of the toolbox. Or if you're like, hey, I only need it for this one job, I don't want to go spend that much money. Amazon has a $33 one that's just a plug-in electric. I don't know anything about it, so I can't be like, hey, this is the best thing ever. But you just make sure it has enough power, because you want to make sure that it's going to cut through and not bog down on everything. You could check Harbor Freight. Usually that type of stuff's pretty good there for those one-time uses. But if you're going to spend real cheap on the tool itself, or if you're going to buy the Milwaukee or Ryobi or Makita or whatever, I don't care how much you spend on the tool, make sure you spend money on that cutoff wheel, because that is the part that if you cheap out on it, you risk it breaking and flying and putting you in the hospital, and you're going to have a real bad day. So we talked about what's the cutoff, how does it work, when do we use it, how much should we spend. If you're interested in purchasing one of these, I got links in the description to the 3 different types. We got the battery powered, we have air powered, and we have the plug-in. And then also, if you found value in this video, share it with a friend. Make sure you check out our website linked in the description, so that way you can get access to your free garage checklist, and that'll help you get started on your first garage, or maybe it'll give you some ideas on some more tools that you need.